Hi there, Vince here from my mate Vince, and another video on the Rolls Royce. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet in this episode, but I've discovered something pretty bad just down in here where I've got the torch shining. So I just want to show it to you. I don't know what it is yet, but it doesn't look right. So I've been just running a few cloths around the engine just to try to get it cleaned up, because remember, we've got leaks underneath and I want to know where they're coming from. So maybe this isn't a bad thing, because this hopefully might be contributing to at least one of the leaks. But if you look in here, the fluid that we put into the brakes and the rear suspension is LHM fluid, and basically it's a nice green colour. Now you might notice that I've got loads of green rags in here and they look fresh. There's loads of green rags in here. When I dipped a rag underneath here, I suddenly got a load of green fluid out. So I'll show you in there in a minute, but check this out. So this is the reservoirs where the two brakes and hydraulics for the rear suspension comes from. Yeah, so one will, for example, do the rear suspension and one lot of the brakes, and another one will do other brakes and stuff like that. Anyway, if you have a look, we have two massive pipes coming out of it here and here, and they go down to, I know that there's two pumps in this car, so from here the hydraulic system has to be pumped in order to get around. So if you have a look, we've got two pipes because we've got two systems. One pipe goes along here and then it's got this sort of insulation on it, and it comes up here, goes along here and goes down inside here, and there's a pump basically just in that bit down there. Yeah, so that looks like very hard to get to, but underneath the other pump is where I found all the fluid. So watch this. From here it goes down here, comes along to here, goes under this little plate here, is this big pipe here, and the big pipe then goes round there and it comes up into the side of this thing. Now look in here, that there, let me wobble the car, can you see it? Look at that moving in there. We've got a whole reservoir of green fluid. What on earth is it doing there? And it's not going to be from where I changed the things out, because all the fluid from the green things went down. It looks like something's majorly leaking in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep getting, I think I might get some kitchen roll, shove it in there to try to mop it all up. Then I might be able to see where it's actually leaking from. Right, I'm using kitchen roll, so I hope it will soak in. Problem is it's down so low. I've got two sheets of kitchen roll here, I've got more in my pocket. I want to, if I can wick it up, then it might work its way up the kitchen roll, do you know what I mean? It might wick. Well, mind you, I could just put it all the way in and drag it out, couldn't I? So I'm pretty sure when I bought it, they did say that there was green fluid underneath it. So obviously this is where one of the leaks is. It just seems so inaccessible. If I can dry it out completely in that little well, then I might be able to stand a chance of seeing where it's dripping from. I mean, there's no way there should be a well there. It should be all sealed, because otherwise dirt and everything would get into that. Yeah, I can see this is going to come out soaking. Right, let me get something underneath it to grab it, and we'll see how green it is. Right, here goes. Oh, look at this. Look at that. You can see how green that is. Right, let's get some more kitchen roll down there. Right, I think I'm going to leave that for a bit and see if it wicks its way up. Right, it's been about 5 minutes. I want to see if anything's wicked up here. Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's wicked up to about the top of the fuel pump. I wonder, should I leave it? Well, I suppose what I could do is take it out and then use the top half of this here. Right, so let's rip this here. Look at that. It's still full. Surely it must be going down. Okay, so about 5 or 6 lots of kitchen roll later, eventually I'll get to the stage where it looks like we're clear of the green fluid down there. So now we need to try to detect if we can see where it's actually leaking from. The well has finally run off dry. So yeah, there's just a little dribble left in there now. So that must have been leaking for quite some time. Surprised it wasn't more dirty. Yeah, it's lovely green. So I'm thinking when I start the engine now, I'm thinking it will become obvious where it's coming from. The only problem is that right now I'm balanced. I'm sat in the engine bay. I'm sat on the kind of the suspension strut, and I don't want to do that when the engine's running, because obviously we have some massive belts and fans and stuff like that. So I think I'm just going to have to lean the camera over. Hopefully the camera might pick it up. Yeah, that's nearly dry now. So yeah, you can see there's not much on that one. Lights have gone out. Well, I thought that would become plainly obvious, but I can't see anything. So I'm going to turn it off. Do the kill switch. Actually, I'm going to do more than that. That is, that's weird. I mean, the amount that's there. The amount that's there. Surely you'd be able to see that trickling out, unless it's just been leaking for years. No, it's still dry in there. Right, I am going to get a cloth and stuff and wipe round it, see if I can work out what's going on. Unless it's just from that top bit. It would be amazing if it was from the top bit. It does look a little bit wet just there, but it could be where. That could be where I was just dragging it out, you see. Because it's kind of wet everywhere. Let me wipe it up. Well, it is a mystery to me, so I can't see anything that looks like it's leaking from the pump, but yet it's slowly started to fill up again, coming from this side, which is worrying. But that could be because, you know, it's a bit slow to move maybe, and it might not be fresh. That might have been sat up there from before. I don't know. It made me think, is it definitely to do with hydraulic because it's green? I thought it could be to do with power steering, because I'm sure in the advisory in the MOTs it's been saying that it's got a power steering leak. But what I did is I got a little bit of tissue, opened this up, just put it in there, and basically this stuff in here, this is low, but this stuff in here is red, because you can see there it's like a reddish colour. Well, it was more obvious when I first took it out. And then I thought, well, could it be something to do with here? This is the expansion tank. The engine's not warm, even though it's been running. I undid it slowly because obviously this can boil out at you. And in here, it just looks to be clear. So obviously all that needs to be drained and redone when I come to service it, whenever that will be. So I'm thinking, could it be something else that is not hydraulics? We've got power steering. It's not power steering, it's not oil, as in engine oil, and it's not coolant here. So it has to be hydraulic, doesn't it? Either brake related or suspension related, but something green. So I'm going to leave it a while and see if it keeps filling up. Maybe I could jack up the back of the car and have it come forward. The other thing I think I'm going to do, I forgot to do in the previous episode, was I'm going to bleed the green spheres, because if the pump's leaking and stuff, at least we've changed the spheres over. So if I bleed them, then just in case it's causing some sort of pressure and it can't work its way through. Don't know. But to bleed them, all I have to do is undo both of them 1/4 of a turn. There's a nut just here that I have to undo, this one here, and underneath the car, and then I'm going to run it for a few minutes and then turn off the engine and close it up, and hopefully that would have bled it back into the hydraulic reservoir over there. Alright, this is interesting. I just started to turn this and it started, you can actually hear the hiss coming out of it. Engine's not running. Listen. Right, ready? Listen to that. Ooh. Did you hear that? Internal bleeding. Wow, I was expecting that only to work when the engine was running. So yeah, I definitely heard that go. I wonder if there was some sort of pressure there. Would it make fluid go elsewhere? You know, through some sort of release valve. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do that up properly yet. I think I am going to undo that while I'm actually running the car. Let's see what happens on the underneath one. Now, the underneath one was the one that didn't have any pressure. So let me just see where we are. Yeah, there we go. Heard it again. You probably can't hear that. Well, I'm going to leave it undone 1 revolution, and then I'm going to start the engine up, leave it for a couple of minutes, and then do the same on the other one. I wonder, can I bleed? Do you know what? I should be able to bleed them both at the same time, because they're different pumps, different reservoirs. So there's 1 revolution round there. Well, let's do the same up top. So 1 revolution round, it's going to be about half. There. Well, let's run it. I put a bit of petrol in it as well, but I don't know if I've put enough in. There was only a little bit sploshing around and some in the shed. Nah, still low. Interesting that both the lights are on now that I've bled it. Just going to make sure there's nothing flying out the front. See how the reservoirs are doing. Still full. Right, well I suppose that's enough. Now interestingly, they're on because I suppose the pressure's not there because the fluid is going into the pump and straight back to the reservoir, I presume. I presume that's what the bleed thing is. So let me just do both of those things up now. I'm just going to put the camera down. I'm going to tighten them both up and then we'll start again and let's see how long it takes for the red lights to go out. Right, okay, they are both bled. Both reservoirs are still full. Let's see now how long it takes for the red lights to go out. I believe it should be something like 30 seconds when cold, 20 seconds when warm. Alright, let's see now. Excellent, they've gone out. Right, well to me that was about 10 seconds or so. Right, okay, I think I'm going to leave it run just for a little bit. They're still working. I think I need to look at the manual, the workshop guide, and follow the paths of all the fluids and see what possible junctures it could be leaking at. Right, okay, leave it with me for a bit. Hopefully I might have some more news about it when I've looked at the workshop manual and noseyed around the place. I think I forgot to mention in the previous video, you know the drain nipple there, the bleed nipple, I did actually drain it with a length of pipe, and also here you can see I've got all this out. Well, obviously it would just keep on coming out, but I've seen some big bubbles come out. The problem was every time my brother pushed down at the back, I could see the fluid coming out. So it was either maybe because there's dirty fluid, but it looked like there was thousands of bubbles all in that whole fluid. But I definitely seen some big bubbles working their way down the tube. So what I want to try now is, now that the front has pressure, the front braking system, it should allow pressure through to the rear suspension. Now I can understand why the height thing didn't work before, because there wouldn't have been enough pressure maybe in the front part of the braking to then sacrifice that to allow the suspension to work. The brakes have to take priority, but now it looks like we have good pressure because 59 pumps and all that. So what I've done is I've laden up the boot with all the lead that I found everywhere. I'm waiting for the lead price to go up and then I'm retiring. And yeah, so now between that and me and my dad sat in the boot, I'm hoping that will be laden. I mean, it hasn't really made much difference to the suspension yet, but there's a lot of weight there. So let's see now if we both sit in it, whether or not it will rise up. Okay, so now I've laden it more. We've got the lead in, we've got about 3 bags of sand, which is pretty wet, so that's going to be even heavier, and my dad, and I'll jump in there in a minute. It's still not like it was before though. Before, the wheel, when it did rise up, was underneath the wheel arch. Right, so we're going to sit down and I'm just going to like focus on a stone or something and see if it moves up. I think it takes about 20 or 30 seconds. No, so it's still not working. I think I've convinced myself that the height control on this car is not doing what it needs to do. Surely with all this weight, it should be leveled out now. And it's not. Unless of course it only levels out when it's even heavier than that. Not sure. I think it should have leveled out by now. Well, I'm calling it a day for today, but now look, this reservoir here is empty. And I've had a look, what's this one over here? That one over there, this one's gone down as well. That one's gone down as well. So maybe fluid did work its way to the back a little bit, but check this out. Just hop up here. And get the torch shining in here. Have a look in between here, what do you see? Fresh fluid again. Can you see the green in there? There you go. It looks fresh, that. And yes, maybe it has come down from the inside here. I just don't think so, because if anything, the lead in the back would have been pushing the fluid towards the back, not the front. So, not too concerned about this one here, because I think that is more, in fact now it seems to be, that's the perfect height, while beforehand it was sticking up. So maybe a bit of fluid did go past that priority valve. Maybe I haven't got enough weight in the back. There's definitely something not right here. So what I'm going to do is, from the comfort of my own home, I'm going to look up the workshop manual. I'm going to see where all the pipes go from this reservoir and see if I can work it out. I'll get back to this video once I've done a bit more research. Check this out, it's a while later and my dad's chopped back the hedge here. It was getting too big anyway, so it will grow again nice and green. But look at the amount of room I've got. It's amazing. I can actually work around here now without a hedge bouncing me in and out. Right, the mystery of the green fluid I think is solved, and of course it's not good news, but at the same time I don't think it's disastrous news either. Apparently it's really common on these cars to have the brake pumps leak, and then when they leak they form a well of mineral fluid forms in the top of the engine there, because it's just a low spot of the engine where it forms. So basically the brake pumps on this car, we're going to have two of them, one from here and one from here, and that is one of them just down there hidden underneath that bracket, and sure enough all round there does look very green. So I'm sure we've probably got that one leaking. Can you see all around there? And remember, I cleaned this up before. But also, because it's my car, I think that this one is leaking as well. So if you look around here, it also looks a little bit, bearing in mind that I've cleaned it all, and now a few days later, it also looks like it's a bit green around there as well. So I need to change, not the brake pumps, but I need to, amazingly, you can actually buy a seal kit for it, which is fantastic because I haven't got to buy the whole brake pump. But because it's a Rolls Royce, it's not cheap. So the most expensive rubber O-rings in the world, it was £25 roughly for each brake pump. So O-rings here, some little metal washers there, and a couple of O-rings there. But what's not really clear is, do you need to take the brake pumps out? I've seen one video that says you don't, but then I don't think you can get to these metal washers here unless you take the pump out. So basically I bought a brake pump removal tool. It's like a castellated thing at the bottom there. To be fair, I could have hired one. It just wasn't clear on the website how long you had the loan of it for, and I just thought if I ever break it or something, maybe it's going to be a more expensive Rolls Royce part rather than an aftermarket part, which that one is there. So I paid £120 for the tool, but at least if I break it, I know I'm £120 out of pocket rather than having to pay maybe £500 for a broken tool. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Now, this one here is relatively accessible. All I have to do is try to move this. I say all, maybe that's going to be a nightmare, but if I could move that out of the way, then maybe I can get the tool down onto it. But this one here has got a massive bracket in the way, so it looks like I have to remove this thing here. Well, basically, no, I've got to remove this whole bracket, haven't I? So maybe if I undo that nut there, undo that nut there, and undo that nut there, maybe. No, I can't, because I've got these pipes here. So how on earth am I going to get to this one here? That looks like it's going to be a proper headache. Or do I just have to undo these? See, this is to do with the fuel injection here. I didn't really want to have to get involved with the fuel injection because apparently it's very complicated, and if it works, you do not touch it, is what I've been told. But how am I going to get in there? Oh, I don't know. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably start on the easy one here. At least I can see what I'm doing, and then if I can learn how to do it, maybe the other one will become clearer. Maybe on this one I might not try to actually take the pump out. I might just try to take the outer bit out, which has the rubber washers in, and forget about that metal washer down the bottom, unless of course that's where it's leaking, but hopefully it might not be. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn it on, and I'm going to keep pumping until well, there you go, there's already no pressure in it anyway, because I think I depressurised it last time, but just because I got squirted when I did the green sphere, I'm going to keep doing this for about 100 goes, and hopefully then that really will get all the pressure out of the system. Okay, what I did here is, rather than try to get rid of all this electrical cabling, I've just used a cable tie, well, 2 cable ties, to pull it over to this side here, and you can see now I have actually got nice access to that pump there, so that's good. So basically what happens is 2 reservoirs, this one's feeding the back pump, this one's feeding the front pump, and from here it goes around under here onto here, then it goes across here on a metal fixed pipe that goes into the side of that there, so that's like the low pressure side of the pump. Then the pump works by some sort of like a tappety thing that goes in and out from the engine, so it's the engine that's making it work, and then the fluid will come up this pipe here and it will go across and it will feed one of the green spheres. So the pipe work goes out of the top here, it goes along here onto these pipe works here, and they go down to the green spheres. So now I'm supposed to be clamping the hose that comes out the reservoir, otherwise you're going to lose lots of fluid. So, you know, I presume I have to be clamping it here. The problem is the hoses feel quite hard, and I don't really want to be squeezing that because I think it's going to just split, and if it splits it's just going to be another, you know, that part there, that hose from there just to here, it's just a hose, but you know that that's not going to be a £2 part, you know that that's probably going to be a 20-something pound part. So I can't just keep changing everything on this car. The videos are not getting enough views to actually cover even the cost of the parts that I'm doing, so I still haven't anywhere near broken even on this car, unfortunately. I thought maybe it would attract more views, but that's just the way with YouTube nowadays. Everybody just seems to crave like 3-minute videos. So I think what I'm going to do is, rather than clamping it, we have the reservoir here. I presume this pipe goes to the bottom of the reservoir, but there's no pump pumping it out, so it's just going to be like a straw in a pint glass. If I undo this one here, it shouldn't leak from here. The only thing I'm then going to lose is basically the fluid from here that's in the pipe going down to the lowest point there, yeah? So, because I can't just do nothing, because otherwise that point there is so much lower than here that I am going to lose all the fluid in there. But I'm thinking if I undo it from here, I'm thinking I then don't need to clamp the brake pipe. Listen, I could be wrong, but air's going to get into the system regardless when I undo the pipes from there. So that's why I'm thinking, let's not cause headache with disturbing the pipes here. So I think if something's working, leave well alone, because there's already plenty that doesn't work. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try to take this off and see what happens. I've depressurized the system and I've got the battery disconnected. I am putting my hood up and I'm wearing my glasses. And I've got an old rag here to try to mop up some of it. I can't hear any hissing yet. I mean, this should all be the low pressure side anyway, shouldn't it? Results. Excellent. Right. Well, very happy with how that went. So now I suppose I should cover this part up here, because otherwise maybe something might fly into it and, you know, I'll have dirt in the system then. Okay, I'm afraid camera angles are awful, so I'm going to try to undo the bottom one first using a 15mm spanner, and obviously I've got to go lefty-loosey. So as I'm looking at it, it's going to be down towards the engine. Oh my god, that was easy. Do you know, there's one thing so far I've been lucky with, things do come undone all right, probably because they've been torqued up properly if they've never been touched, you know. Okay, that's coming undone lovely. I know you probably can't see any of this. Right, that's undone now, so I won't force that down yet. Let's do the low. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's out. Okay, I presume I'm going to lose a load of fluid there, aren't I? So maybe I should put it out and put the rag underneath it. I'll let the rag mop most of it up. It's a mess down here anyway, it's all going to need such a big clean. I suppose realistically I can just clean it all up afterwards. Right, okay, so that's the low pressure side done. I wonder now, is there going to be any pressure up here? So now I need to go up this way, don't I, for this one here. Hope I don't balls this up now because I'm not on it nice. I want to be underneath this really. I think I'm going to cut my cable tie so I can get underneath here. There we go, and get under there now. I need to make sure I don't bend the pipe itself. There we go, it gave. Now, is this going to spurt everywhere? Don't think so. Mind you, I think with the other one, it's when I pull the pipe out. Now I can already see it leaking out the top. Excellent, so this time it looks like the pressure has gone. So maybe there was some sort of like blockage before that kept the pressure in on that previous video where it just went everywhere. But now that I've got new spheres, maybe it's kind of working, it's working good. There we go, we're off. Fantastic, so there was no pressure there. So now, I wonder, how do I get the actual sort of sleeve off, or do I have to get the sleeve off, I think, before I can undo the pump. Oh, there we go, the sleeve's loose. What? Oh, there's a circlip. Yeah, I have to undo a circlip. Right, let me cable tie this out of the way. No, actually, no, I probably need to go that side. Yeah, there's a circlip just here, keeping it in. So let me get the circlip remover tool. Right, okay, so you can see now they come straight down. It's really easy to do. All you've got to do is release that there, that spring comes out, and then in the set you have loads of different ones of these that you can, well, not loads, but there's about 4 different types that you just put on the top. So it's quite nice. The set's probably been there for like the last 30 years and never been used. There we go. Right, let's see now, is that going to do it? That was quite a chunky circlip actually. Snap ring. not, I have to take my glasses off, I can't see, they're fogging up. Right, now, is that going to lift out or not? Does that lift out more? How does this... Oh no, sorry, I'll do that way. What am I on about? Yes. Come on. How do you actually get it out though? Yes, there we go. Oh my god, it works. Wow. It actually works. Amazing. Right. So now that collar thing should come off. Right, popping the glasses back on. So now, will the collar come out? Yes, you will. Brilliant. So if you just wanted to change the big O-rings, you wouldn't really have to get that expensive tool. There we go. Okay, now nice and gently take that out there. We are free. Looks nice and clean in there. Right. Yeah, so I suppose, can you see the way it's grooved in here? In comes through here, and we have a collar to allow the fluid to go in. And then it must build up the pressure and squirt it out the, well no actually, it must go into this pump and then builds up the pressure and squirts it out the top. Right, well I've got the tool, so let's cable tie this off here again, and then put it on there, try to undo it and try to remove the actual brake pump itself. Right, I'm just cleaning the top off. I mean, the sides should be clean because they're already, they were already encased. So now, let's get the tool. Oh, look at that. Now that is nice. So, where am I going to put this pipe? Quite sure where this locks onto. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it does. It locks down into it. Right, so now I need to get a big socket or something for the top here and undo it without damaging this pipe. That pipe is now starting to get under a little bit of strain. I wonder, could I cable? No, I best not cable tie it. Actually, I could just cable tie it around there, couldn't I? Just to take a bit of pressure off it. Yeah, there we go. Glasses on. 24mm socket, and we need to go round this way. Are you going to come undone? Oh, oh. Okay. That was quite a lot of pressure. Uh-oh. Yeesh. So I want to be a bit careful. I don't want to break the pump. Because really I could probably just change out the two big O-rings, the O-ring feeding on the low pressure, and it will probably be okay. It's just that I'd like to change the bottom one because I've bought the tool. Whoa, that's stuck. Wow, I was expecting that to be undone easy. Let me just try tightening a little bit. And surely I am on the right thing. I mean, I can't see the bottom of it. Let me just rotate it a bit, just in case there is a way it goes on. Right. That's not coming undone. Wow. Right, okay, so this is much longer now. It is a torque wrench, but it's not working as a torque wrench anymore. Probably years ago, maybe I should look at it for a video. Right, so now. No, actually, it worked as a torque wrench there because the amount of strain needed on it. that is not coming undone. I think I'm going to end up breaking it. Can't run the engine because the fluid's going to go everywhere, isn't it? Actually, the fluid's not going to go everywhere because, but when it heats up, it's going to they expand, don't they? Okay, well, my mind's made up there. I can't risk, if that breaks off there, the car's ruined. So I'm just gonna have to change the O-rings, and hopefully it will work. I mean, a real shame. I just really wanted to be able to use the tool to get the thing out, but it wasn't to be. Gutted, if I'm honest with you. Do you know what? I really want this off. I'm gonna give it one more go. I jumped on the car and I can clearly see how it's supposed to come off. There's just a load of teeth at the bottom that this fits into nicely. So I think unless the whole thing snaps, it'd be very unlikely to, you know, to break. How is it on so tight? Do you know what I'm thinking now? Part of me wonders if it's leaking from the bottom, and a way around it for the previous owner, or one of them, maybe was just to tighten it up. No, okay, that's not coming undone. I don't even think Jeff Capes could undo that. Right, okay, that's really upsetting, really upsetting, because I'm not going to be able to get the one out the back because I'll have to take away the fuel injections. So really there was no point in me buying a tool. I mean, tell me what you think. How would you get that undone? Would you apply heat to it in the hope that that might free it up? Would you use a bigger bar? I mean, that bar is already, I would say, 70 centimetres, 60 centimetres. I mean, I really was using a lot of strength there. The problem I've got is, it's not just rotational. Because it's sticking up this much, I'm also kind of putting pressure on it that way as well, and that's what I'm worried about, whether I'd cause some kind of damage by sideways pressure. Anyway, right, let me clean it up, see where the O-rings are, and just try to replace it. Right, I think, so we've got 4 O-rings, so I think it's one at the top, one at the bottom. These little ones here are for the little input on this one here, so it just goes in here. Currently the old one is actually on the brake pipe feeding that. And then I think, annoyingly, I can't get to these two because I can't undo the brake pump. So yeah, I think these both go down the bottom. So we have a nice kind of metal washer here, with which is chamfered, and then that one there. So yeah, real shame. But look, see, this is it. If I do these ones here, I know now it isn't actually a nightmare to get to the level I'm at now, because I've done it once already. If it's still leaking, I've got no choice. I have to get that undone. Even if I'm whacking it round for a sledgehammer, I have to get it undone. Then if the engine breaks, there's nothing I could have done about it anyway. But at this moment in time, these might be perfect, and all the leaking might be coming from here. In which case, then why risk, you know, taking that off? But if needs be, then I will have to do that. So I'm going to get some tweezers and see if I can remove the old ones.
Right, so what I'm doing here is using 2 sets of tweezers, one to pick the O-rings out and then one to put behind the O-rings so I can roll them up. Once they're out of their groove, I can put another tweezer underneath it to stop them going back into the groove, and it allows me to roll them up. Same thing putting them back on, put a bit of LHM fluid on them and just put the tweezer behind them and roll them into the correct groove. There's one at the top and there's one at the bottom. So yeah, this bit here is nice and easy, and it should be nice and easy to get the sleeve back on and connect up the pipes back onto it. Looking at the time of the video, I think I'm going to have to do the rear brake pump and I'll do that in the next video, along with some spraying. Yes, I do a little bit of spraying in that video as well. And also, I want to talk a little bit about this 2K paint, because there was stuff I learnt about it that I wish I'd known beforehand. Anyway, let me give a shout out to the My Mate Vince Massive while I'm here. The Massive members this month are kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Will Michaelis, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeeps.com, DJVG, Ellis Garbett, Pigsy, Robert from Timsy's Auto Air, Daniel Watson, Zeke C, and Anthony Deans. Thank you to all you guys and also everybody else on Patreon that make the money pit off this car a little bit less painful. So now, anyway, let's get on with it.
Right, good news is they're the same size. These are the two new ones. And if you look at the old one, which is the wet one, well, we're not going to be able to see here, but it does look like it's slightly flatter. So this is kind of like round all the way around it. But with this one, I can see a flat edge. So I suppose that's where it's leaking past. Fingers crossed, I hope. Right, so I've put a bit of LHM fluid in the lid there, and the two O-rings are in there. So let's take them out. Let's see if we can get them on. So what I'm going to do is use the screwdriver, I think. Now let's see if I do that down there. I only need to get it past the first one. And then once it's past the first one, it will go down to the next one easy. Yes, okay, right, I'm taking out that one there. I'm going to take out this one because I think it should just roll gently now into that last groove. There we go. Yes, it's in, okay. And it's turning round nice and freely. Hope I haven't stretched it too much, but it's going over. Should be okay. Now, same with this one here. And we are in. Excellent. Actually feels a little bit loose when they go in, but yet when they came out it was really they were really tight. Well, they're definitely the right ones, they're the same size. Right, let's just clean up that. Now we can put the lid back on. Let's take out this little O-ring here on the supply. There we go. Right, let's put a new one of those on because that's very flat as well. Dips it in the fluid. And let's put it on here if I can get to it. Just balanced on top. Yes, well, got lucky with that one. There we go. Right, we're ready to put this back together. I'm just going to clean up the inside. I'm just going to clean up the casing and everything off the old one. And I'm just not convinced it's going to work. I'm just thinking, could it be leaking from the very bottom? Okay, so this is nice and clean now. Has to go on this way round. Now, I suppose I better oil up the inside here so I don't get the O-rings out of place. Okay, I've smeared the inside with the LHM. There we go. That's over one. Now we need to get over the other. There we go, excellent. Well, that already feels harder to move than before. So, maybe that was the problem. I wonder how you know if the outer casing is all the way down, because this pipe, bottom pipe, could actually push it up, couldn't it? Okay, so I need to do that one up. Let's see if I can cut this cable tie and get the top one on just as easy. So there's no O-ring on this one. No, it's just like a kind of, you know, like a flange joint. So let's just make sure that's all nice and clean. I suppose because it's high pressure, the O-ring's not suitable, maybe. Okay, well that definitely hasn't cross-threaded on the way on. Right, I'm going to swap camera angles and then do up those two nuts. Did anybody spot that I forgot something? The snap clip. So let's put this snap clip on here. Now I need to use my tool and try to get it on. And that's how, you see, you can determine how high it is. You know, this thing. Is that on or not? I can't see. That is, I think, no, that's not on. That's not on. I need a screwdriver as well to hit it down. Now, that's at the bottom. Now, should I move that round to where it was originally, or would it be easier to get to there in the future? Mind you, you can swivel it around anyway. Do you know what? I'm leaving it up this way, because there's much more room to get to that. But that's definitely in the right spot. So, and that's just some like green thing, identification thing. Let's tighten this up and the bottom one, and then that one is done. Right, I think that's done up enough. Now let's do this top one. Yeah, I think that's done up enough. So that's that front one done now, and I reconnected this hose up here, which was all nice and straightforward. So now I need to do the same process again, but with this one hidden away on the back here. So I can imagine that it's going to be quite a headache. I can't even see where it is. There it is there. So yeah, that's not going to be very enjoyable. So we'll save that joyous job until the next episode, because looking at the time, I'm not going to be able to fit it into this one here. Once we get the rear pump sorted, we can then check to see if we have any leaks, and also check to see if we still have braking pressure. So in this episode today, we found out what was leaking, I think, which is a good thing. We messed around with the self-leveling. I'm not so sure what's going on with this self-leveling, because even with all that weight in the back, I didn't see the suspension dip that much. We definitely seen previously that the suspension did raise up. So we know it raises up okay, but for some reason now I can't seem to get it down to raise up again. But you know what? Maybe when this car's driven, going over through potholes and speed bumps, maybe everything will just start to settle in its place. I think the best thing for this car is to get it back on the road, to start driving it, and then we can find out really what is and isn't working, because a car sitting for years on end is not going to do it any favours whatsoever. So yeah, I wasn't overly happy with this working this one here, because I couldn't get that front brake pump off. But look, we might not need to. We've changed the O-rings. That might be all we need to stop the leak. Remember, the brake pumps are working because we do have pressure in the braking system. So fingers crossed, this might sort it. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please stick around for the next video, where you'll find the finale of this one, and plus a few other little bits. Thank you so much for watching.